Welcome, everyone, to the Gridiron Review Podcast. That's Jack, I'm Zach, and we are back for episode 17 of our Offseason in Review series. We start the back half of our reviews with the AFC South and everyone's favorite dumpster fire, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the only team that could possibly rival the Cleveland Browns in sadness for the last 20-ish years. They got rid of disaster Urban Meyer, now we know that was halfway through last season, and brought Philly legend and Carson Wentz nemesis Doug Peterson into coach, who hopefully will at least bring some stability at the coaching position for a team that hasn't had great coaching in a long time. We know they made the playoffs that one year with Bortles, but in general, it's been about as good as Cleveland's been as far as having a good head coaching candidate. And the rest of their all season was interesting, to say the least. A ton of money spent and some very curious draft picks leaves this team in an interesting spot. And Jack can start us off.
Offensively, they lose Dare Ungabwale and Urban Meyer's boy, Carlos Hyde, in the backfield. DJ Chark, Tavon Austin, Terry Godwin, Josh Hammond in the receiver room, James O'Shaughnessy, Jacob Hollister in the tight end room, Brandon Linder, AJ Cann, and Andrew Norwell. Their entire interior offensive line walked. Well, Linder retired, but the other two walked. They retained Mekhi Sargent at running back, Laquan Treadwell, who seemed to have a somewhat of a career resurgence in Jacksonville, Tyler Shatley, the backup center, and Cam Robinson, who they franchised and then reached a 3-year extension with. And then they picked up Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Hall in the receiver room, Evan Ingram in the tight end room, Brandon Scherf and Wes Martin in the offensive line room. In the draft, they took Luke Fortner in the 3rd and Snoop Connor in the 5th. Look, say what you want about their offense. Whether you're a casual or not, you should know that they way overpaid for their entire offense. Kirk got $18 million a year. Now, Kirk was a solid 2/3 in Arizona, but he was not worth $18 million. He gets paid top 10 receiver money now. And I mean, this is not DeAndre Hopkins sitting behind Andre Johnson. This is not T.Y. Hilton sitting behind Reggie Wayne. This is Christian Kirk. To pay him $18 million, and I get that there was a bidding war, but I think that was just the other teams in the league playing with you. Like, that was like, you got tricked hard. And then on top of that, you pay Zay Jones, your wide receiver 3/4, $8 million a year. No one pays their receiver 3 or 4 $8 million a year. Then you give Brick Hands $9 million. And I get that's a 1-year deal, but $9 million. And as Zach stated, Doug Peterson came in to take over this team. Peterson is a guy that loves to feature the tight end. He was supposed to be this huge, reliable target for the quarterback, much like Goddard was and much like Ertz was for Wentz and Hurts in Philly. And you went and got the dude who drops the most passes of probably any tight end in the league. Great effing thinking. Great thinking. And then, here we are sitting doing our mock draft thinking, okay, you bring in Doug Peterson. It's all about making Lawrence work. You got to protect him. You didn't take a lineman until the 3rd round. Now, granted, I liked Luke Fortner. I think that's a great pick. I think he'll start at center right away. But then you bring in Scherf, who hasn't seemed to have been able to stay healthy in recent memory. And Ben Barch is now your starting left guard. The tackles are fine. That's my issue, is that your entire interior offensive line walks away in some capacity, and you only bring in 2 replacements. And I mean, I guess in the running backs room, just to touch on that, ETN comes back, which should be huge, but you're down Robinson for what I would assume with a torn Achilles is probably at least the first couple weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I missed the Robinson thing. I guess I knew he got hurt. Anyway, whenever you make a move, and they kicked off free agency with the Christian Kirk signing, and you have teams or players like Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams saying, whoa, hold on a minute. I got to go reevaluate with my agent what I'm worth. That's not a good thing. If you're going to reset the market with a player, it's not Christian Kirk. And I really liked Christian Kirk heading into free agency. I thought he was going to be a steal. I thought someone was going to pay him maybe $10 million a year, and he was going to be an upside number one. But a guy, you needed to bring him in where he's not needed to be the number one. And now, granted, Marvin Jones is a fine down the field threat, but I mean, I don't think Jones is the number one that he may have been at one point anymore. And now you're paying Kirk that has to be a 140 target guy for that money. And you're paying Zane Jones. Who are you bidding against for Zay Jones? I just have to know why. Like, I get you have to pay a little bit more to get people to come there. Although Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be a generational talent. So I guess, you have to overpay a little bit to get people to come to a poverty franchise. And that may be the case here, but Christian Kirk is way overpaid. And that's, again, as liking Kirk as a prospect, as a player, as an underrated player in the league, but he's getting paid like he has had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He never has. And it just, we've covered the Jags before, and it's just a lot of head scratchers. The Evan Ingram one, at least it's only a year, but why? Who else was going to pay him anywhere near that? Nobody wanted him like that, to pay him $9 million. Yeah, someone may have kicked the tires like they did on O.J. Howard with the Bills and paid him a couple million, but I think you probably could have gotten him for $5 million. I think. Now, maybe, we don't know some of the situations, but Ingram is the perfect guy to go to your team as a low risk, low paying option that's trying to revitalize his career, not for $9 million. It is insane. And Jack's right. Peterson likes to feature the tight end, and now they have Evan Ingram and Dan Arnold. Arnold's not bad. I think, again, another underrated player, but Ertz was one of the best tight ends in football for that stretch. Goddard is one of the better tight ends in football. Ingram is not. And you think they should have, we'll talk about the defense, but instead of drafting Chad Muma, there was a lot of tight ends on the board that they could have went after, and they decided not to. And now two of them, Cade Otton and Daniel Bellinger, are predicted to start. And that's rare for tight ends in their rookie year, let alone third rounders and later. So, look, they didn't re-sign DJ Chark. I think Chark is better than Kirk and Zay Jones, but granted, Chark's injury history, I can live with that, but not paying Christian Kirk that much. There's just no way. Marvin Hall, a great low-end signing that could be decently beneficial to you, but again, just what is Zay Jones expected to do for $8 million? I mean, I assume they want to run the ball a decent amount, and they have Etienne coming back, who's said to be in the Deebo Samuel role. So what are you paying Zay Jones $7-8 million for? 400 yards, 500 yards? That's insane. That's ridiculous. And I don't know. This is just the Jaguars. Trent Baalke is in over his head. He should have been fired along with Urban Meyer. He should have been fired for making that hire. But